Sweet, dude. Well, I already started recording, so thanks so much for jumping on, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, where are you at? You're in Florida right now?
Yep. Yeah, I'm in Jacksonville Beach, Florida. And yeah, just actually moving out of the apartment this
Nice,
weekend.
nice.
Got some races coming up and then moving out west to Tucson, Arizona.
Oh, nice. You are moving to Tucson. Sweet.
Yeah.
I assume
So
that's with the relationships you've kind of built. You just decided to head out there for
yeah.
training wise.
Yeah, like I said, I was out there. I got out there in the first of the year. Gave it a shot, training with Lionel. Went really
Mm-hmm.
good, meshed pretty well.
Nice,
Um, call him like a great friend of mine now. So yeah, I'm gonna end up racing 70.3 Boulder
nice.
here in about 3 weeks. So I'm gonna actually go out to Boulder, fly out next Tuesday.
Cool.
So I'll go out there for about 2 weeks before the race so I can somewhat get acclimated because I raced there
Okay.
last year, just getting there like a day or two before and it like crushed me.
Yeah, I missed you.
So yeah, and then basically come home, spend some time with family and friends, and then my girlfriend and I will drive out to
Nice.
Tucson for at least
Sweet.
like the next year or so.
Nice. Is she gonna be moving out there as
Yeah,
well?
yeah, yeah. The
Cool.
whole me and her just picking up everything and driving out.
Yeah.
So
Good for you. That's a big move, man. How long have
yeah,
you guys been dating?
since junior year of high school, so nearly
Okay.
7 years.
Nice. Wow.
Yeah, it's
High
been
school sweethearts to the max then, huh?
yeah, it's high school, and then we both ran cross country and track at the University of Florida
Sweet.
together, and then now like she's working on her professional life, and I'm working on mine, and yeah, just
Sweet.
doing our thing. So
Yeah. Is her professional life eventually hoping to consist of being like a professional triathlete? Is she hoping to go that route or does she do something different?
um, she's on like she's gonna do like PA school
Okay.
at the moment,
Nice.
but she also helps me out with like I have a coaching business that I
Cool.
run, and then obviously I've had a few decent results, and so that's like starting to get busy and stuff. So she's been
Yeah.
helping me offload that kind of stuff, and yeah, trying to do it all. She just did her second triathlon in Chattanooga last week and
Yeah.
went
It's
pretty
very
good
nice.
for her. I mean, she ran like 17 minutes for the 5K in college, so she's pretty good. So if she wanted to be like pretty good at triathlon, I'm sure she could. So
Yeah, for sure. Awesome, dude. Well, I'm gonna dive into a bunch of that stuff too. But I want to take it back just to kind of start. So the theme of this podcast is called "Stupid Questions." I'll try not to ask too stupid of questions, but the kind of thought of being just like ask anything and anything and see what comes up. But to
yeah,
kind of start off, would love to kind of know just for the listeners because some people may not be like into triathlon and have no idea who Trevor Foley is. So who is Trevor Foley? How old is he? Where's he from? And how did he get to where he is today? And you can be as detailed as you want. I have no.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So yeah, Trevor Foley, born and raised in the great state of Florida, right outside of like Tampa, Florida.
Love that.
Literally like I did soccer pretty competitively like growing up as a kid, and then found
Sweet.
running at the age of like 12.
Cool.
So like sixth grade, middle school, ended up finding like a really big love and passion for that. So honestly, at like 12 years old, dove right into running, super competitively. Like I was like addicted to running. Like I loved it.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I went to high
Runner's high?
school. Yeah, like runner's high, like training, trying to, land a scholarship in college, stuff like that, like the whole 9 yards. And then
Hmm.
went to high school, had some pretty like good success. I won like 5 state track cross country titles. So that was
Nice, dude.
pretty good. And then yeah, ended up getting a scholarship with my girlfriend Sophie at the University of Florida, and we ran there for 3 years. This would actually be my fifth year right now, so it's been my last year, but decided 3 years in, I got an injury in
Hmm.
college. I ended up breaking my foot and
Ouch.
found like swim biking. Breaking my foot, I think you're about to ask how, but
Yeah.
I I was running a lot in college, probably like 100 to 110 miles a week, and
Holy moly.
yeah, I just grinded it out. And I just think just my foot just gave out, I think one day. It just kind of snapped in like the fourth metatarsal
Oh
area.
my word. Did you feel it, hear it?
I didn't hear it, but I don't know if I stepped on something because it happened instantly. Like I remember Tuesday I was running. I woke up Wednesday, my foot was super swollen and I couldn't walk. And I was
Ugh.
like, and I got an MRI, and it was like a 16-week process. I was in a boot, whole 9 yards.
Mm, ouch. So I'm gonna back up just a little bit more because we covered a lot of ground there. So when you found running, so
Hmm.
something that I've found out to be true, not always, but there's usually some kind of a motivation in getting into like, especially endurance sports.
Hmm.
The first like real ultra runner I ever met, like he was going through like a crazy divorce, and then some of the other like athletes I've known, they seem to be running from something. Was that the case for you at all? And like you say, you got into it and you got your first runner's high, like. Were you running from something?
Yeah, I wouldn't really say I was running from something, but I was running like towards something.
Mm-hmm.
Like I really wanted to go to college. I really wanted to be like a professional athlete. So I wanted like even from a young age, like I said, I played soccer. So I was like, oh, I want to be. I mean, I was like 10. Like
Yeah.
every kid wants to be like a
I
pro.
want to be messy. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I want to be
Understandable.
Messi or something. So like I remember like saying stuff like that or like
Mm-hmm.
thinking about it. And problem with like team sports and like sports like soccer or football is like one coach could think you like you're really good and another coach could think you're, not so good. It's like bias, but like time
Sure.
like running was pretty like intriguing because it's like you're either good or you're not,
Yeah.
and so I kind of found that because I found like when I was growing up doing soccer, like sometimes you have like the kid's dad who's like the coach and like the kid gets to play all the time and
Yeah.
I didn't get to play. So maybe I was running from that because I was like fed up with stuff like that.
Mm.
And then yeah, I ended up right in sixth grade, oh, right at the end of fifth grade, I did like a 5K with like my soccer team and I like won my age group. And obviously if some like 10-year-old wins something, it's like, oh, it's so
Yeah. It's a big
cool.
deal. Do you remember
Yeah,
your time?
yeah. So my time was 20:44 for the first
Nice,
one.
dude. That's
So
solid.
I was like pretty hooked after that because like what kid doesn't like winning, right? And
Yeah. Get a big identity boost. Like maybe
yeah,
this is who I am.
exactly. And then it honestly just took off from there. I just was like, oh, I'm gonna be a pro runner. I'm gonna go run the Olympics. And then through middle school, like I was like the kid who ran, the kid who was like really fast at like recess or PE or something. And
Yeah.
it just
It's a
and
good
I
feeling.
liked it. So and it kind of just stuck.
Yeah. That's awesome, dude. So with getting into that at a young age, it starts to quickly become, I would imagine, a piece of who you are, and a lot of your conversation, a lot of your extracurriculars circle around that. Um, in that kind of vein of life that you start to go down for becoming a professional potentially one day, how did your parents play a role in that? Like imagine there was some support, but were they like, hey, you need to do this race, or were you kind of the driving force, and how did that look?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm from like a pretty small town outside of like right outside of Tampa, and I remember I had my first middle school coach. His name was Drew, and he wasn't going to be able to be my high school coach because he had other obligations and stuff. And I remember him specifically telling me, like, basically the coaches and the small town, like, and the high schools that you're going to go to aren't going to be like good to get you to like a Division I college. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to coach you to literally be your own coach one day. And he literally told me that when I was like 12. So like every time he
Wow.
would like write me a training program or and he would be very thorough. Like he would always explain it as to why I'm doing something. I would ask his questions. So literally by the time I ended eighth grade or so, I was like 14. I basically with my own coach, I let coach myself through high school. I had a few coaches towards the end of one coach towards the end of my high school career,
Mm-hmm.
Coach Ray, and he helped me a lot, kind of just like bridge the final piece of like knowledge I would need. And then
Sure.
now I'm self-coached as a professional triathlete, and now I have a coaching business of myself, and I coach Sophie through high school. So like coaching is like a big passion of mine, and
Hmm.
I just yeah, I guess you use the word like identity. So yeah, I guess it's like my identity, I guess. I love it, and yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. The reason I asked that is because so I was talking with you know Greg Bennett by chance?
Greg, yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
So I was talking to him a little bit about the kind of post I graduate out of becoming a professional, whatever the sport is, or really any profession. And sports tend to be kind of hard because, as you get to your peak in mid late 30s, early 40s.
Mhm.
The timetable's changing a little bit, but a lot of, especially like Olympians, they'll like be done, and then it's like everything that I was this. So now how do I move on? So I was kind of wanting to get at the question of do you try to separate your performance from the sport as in like that's who I am?
I don't. It's funny you say that because I talk about that with Sophie sometimes of like in the beginning, like in college, I dealt with it and even now, like I'm trying not to deal with it of like this is like my job now, so like it's super stressful standing on the start line.
Yeah,
Of like, wow, if I don't perform, like I'm not going to get paid. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, that's
that's
big.
a hard pill to swallow. So I've been trying to like take a step back from that and just be like, dude, like it's fine. Like it doesn't matter how you're gonna like how you're gonna do. You know, like your life is so much more. So kind of to build onto that,
Hmm.
like again, I've always had a passion for coaching, and I've had so many people reach out about it. So I've started my like a coaching business, and it helps me a lot because like I just had 4 calls with 4 different athletes, and it's so fun to talk to them and try to help them. But that also helps my individual performance better because I stand on the start line. I'm like, all right, if I don't win this race, like I still have like another job, like another business I've created for myself. So that kind of helps. If that kind of answers your question,
Yeah,
some way.
yeah, for sure. So you're 24 or 25?
23.
23. Okay. Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, I was just thinking too, not only with what Greg said, but so when I was in college, I started this business called Sway, and we made insulated camping hammocks.
Mm,
And my university, like, I became known as like the camping hammock guy, and like
yeah.
entrepreneurs in the past 10 years, they've kind of reached like this, oh, they're kind of like rock starry status or whatever. It's
Yeah.
become
It's
very
like a
popular.
cool thing to do.
Exactly. So I didn't come from like the greatest upbringing, and so when that became a part of who I was, and people attached a level of coolness to what I was doing. Like that was super addicting. And then, life went on and I graduated college and I did the business and then COVID happened and it shut down. And I was like wanting to like do something different, but I didn't know how to disassociate myself with what I had become because I'd become this thing.
Mhm.
And then I realized after I choose a different path and I'm okay with like, okay, that's not who I am. Those are pieces of what I did and they
Yep.
have brought me to who I am today. But being able to choose something different now and go on. Like people's perceptions and understanding of who we are has changed because they only have an external view of who we are,
Correct.
right?
And I think like a good example of that is like Lionel, like we talked about him, like he has, probably the biggest following in our whole sport, and
Yeah, for
but
sure.
he doesn't do his social media at all. Like he doesn't even look at Instagram. He doesn't look at the comments. He doesn't do anything.
Hmm.
And I'm trying to do that in my own life of like, obviously Instagram and YouTube is super important, but like when
Yeah,
I
for
come home,
sponsorship.
it's just like I'm home. Like I live kind of like a hermit. Like I have Soph. We used to have like golden retriever, and that was like our life. Like we just
Yeah,
got coffee, Chipotle, and like chilled. It's
yeah,
super simple, and try not to bring that kind of stuff into like our home.
yeah, yeah. I think that's super smart, man. Seems like you got a really good head on your shoulders, and obviously, there's wisdom in a multitude of counselors. So it sounds like Lionel obviously taking you under his wing a little bit is a huge piece of obviously just learning how to be a man, potentially a father in the future, but also a professional triathlete with what you're doing. So that's really cool.
Yeah, oh yeah, he's helped me out a ton, and like not even from like a training aspect. Like the training
Hmm.
hasn't really like he showed me a lot about the training, like the science behind a lot of the bike and swim training, but like
Sure.
honestly more of like the day-to-day hard work, just like
Yeah.
simple life. Like he truly loves triathlon. Like he does it because he's like I would exercise like the fact that I get to exercise and get paid, like that's
Yeah.
cool.
That's a
So
dream.
that's the dream, dude.
Yeah.
So yep.
So how did you meet him?
My second 70.3 ever. I did my first one, and it's basically my second triathlon ever. My first 70.3 was September of 21. That was Augusta. And then I did Indian Wells 2021. That was where Lionel and Vincent Louis raced
Yeah.
out in December. So I got fifth in that race behind some pretty good guys. I think it was Lionel, Vincent Louis, Ellie Geens, the 2 great ITU guys, and then Chris Lieferman, and then it was me. And I had like the second or third fastest run, like basically tied with Lionel. And he probably obviously like took notice, like, dang, he's
Sure.
this like unrated kid who's like running as fast as me. And he just kind of walked up to me after the race and was just like, hey, great job. Like gave me a shout out at the award ceremony. Like this guy's gonna be pretty good if he, learns how to swim, bike, run together. And so yeah, and then he kind of I guess just kept an eye on me and reached out to me middle of the season last year. I had a good result. He just said great job on Instagram. He actually followed me and DM'd me, and I was like, oh man, like this is
Was it
so cool.
actually him or was it Talbot?
Well, it was Aaron. Aaron takes care of the
Okay,
his
got it.
wife. Aaron takes care of the Instagram, but
Yeah.
she said, I have the DM. She was like, she was wishing me a good luck from Lionel, and I was like, thank you. And then
That's hilarious.
they ended up sending me his WhatsApp, and then so we just kind of kept in contact for the last like the back half of last year, and then I think I went to 70.3 Los Cabos at the end of last year and ran like a 109.
It's
And he
killer.
had raced that race before as well. And I think he took notice, like, man, a 109 at that course is pretty good. It was super hot. It's a pretty hard course. And he was like, hey, like, basically, maybe you want to come out to Tucson and maybe come train and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, dude, let's do it. Can't pass up on that opportunity. It was definitely hard to leave Florida because I
Mm,
have never really left. And leaving Sophie because she had her work. She couldn't really move. She had like a pretty like she had a commitment through the end through the summer here, and
sure.
so yeah, I just literally packed everything up in my car and drove out to Tucson in like 3 days and spent basically January, February, March, April, and part of May in Tucson, and
Mm.
yeah, it was great. And yeah, I said, basically like I hope this worked for you. It definitely worked for me. And he said, yeah, like let's come out here and yeah, make it like a full-time thing. And yeah, so that's what we're doing.
Oh, that's just crazy, man. So I'm curious on the 3 day excursion. Did you do like swim, biking, and running each day to kind of keep up the training regimen? Did you take a day off?
No days off, but I did keep up the training. Yeah.
Yeah,
I swam, just trying to find like
random
local
pools.
aquatic
Yeah,
centers. Yeah, it was just like super hard. You probably know trying to find a place to lap swim
yeah,
somewhere. Running is super easy. You just
yeah.
find a park
Sure, you
or
can do it anywhere.
yeah. Like actually, I stopped in San Antonio on my second night, I think, and there's like a is it San Antonio? There's a baseball team there. I forget what baseball. It's like a massive MLB stadium, and I like picked this random park right next to the MLB stadium, and
Oh,
it was
nice.
actually kind of cool. So,
Yeah, that's sweet. Get to a
but,
little traveling. Yeah, that's
but
awesome.
yeah, when you get through the back half of Texas, there's nothing out there.
Just longhorn cattle. Is there even cattle, or just straight up fields?
Dude, it's just straight up fields.
Yeah,
And then like then you see the border on the left and like it's just like a different world. I mean, it's like the desert out there.
yeah, literally hell. If you
Yeah.
get stuck out there, you're in trouble.
Oh yeah, like that's game over.
Yeah, it's such a different look. I remember, so I've gone out to do like the rim to rim to rim stuff at Grand Canyon, and I've driven from here in Tennessee. And yeah, once you get out to the plains and the wind is just whipping by, and you're like, well, there's nothing out here. If we break down, we have a little bit of service, but it's going to be a long hike back to somewhere. But yeah,
It's gonna be a
it's
long
crazy.
day. I
Yeah,
had the bike, so worst comes to worst, I just hop on the bike
yeah, there you go.
and go try to track down something. But
Yeah,
the speed limits out there are like super quick,
yeah,
85.
yeah. It's not bad. What kind of whip were you taking out there? What kind of car do you have?
I have like a Ford Escape, so it's like not like the massive like SUV, but it's not the sedan. It's like the middle like
Yeah.
crossover thing.
Do you
So
put the
if
bike
it's
typically inside, or you put it on a rack in the back?
for that one, I put it on. I have a bike rack, so for that long of a trip, I would like to try to put it inside.
Yeah, right
But
in
I
there.
just had all my stuff,
Yeah.
it's all the gear. I had like a MacBook, like the massive desktop. I had everything to live for 6 months, and
Yeah.
then, so.
So were you nervous when you arrived? Were you like, or were you like, oh, this is chill, whatever. I'll show him up on the track.
No, I was pretty nervous too. Well, I was nervous, but I was also like super excited.
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
Lionel's like my hero. It's like my favorite pro
Yeah.
triathlete, and I remember, so we met at Indian Wells 2021, like I said, I was in December, and then the only time I had seen him in person was at the US Open in Dallas, and I remember we were sitting in like the VIP
The
lounge
tent.
thing. It was
Hmm.
like, yeah, it was like 100 degrees there. And so this was like the only little tent with like AC. And I remember I walked in and I was just sitting there right before the race and I'm like freaking out. Like, cause I mean, it's like
Hyperventilating.
yeah, it's like a world champs field. You got like all these guys walking around. I
Yeah.
just see Lionel walk in. I'm like, oh, dang. And so like I walk up to him and I introduce myself. And we had been talking, but I didn't know if he knew what I looked like or something. I was like, "Hey, I'm
Yeah.
Trevor," and he goes, "Oh, I know." And I was like, "Oh, nice. That's kind of
That feels
cool."
good.
Yeah, it feels good. And then I asked him some stupid question because I was so nervous. I was like, "How many watts are you going to push on the bike?"
Well, I don't know.
And he's like, "Oh, I don't really know, but probably a little less because it's hot." And I was just like a total idiot. And then I just walked away. And
Cool.
so
Bye.
Yeah, and so that was like our two interactions. And I remember I literally got out of the car in Tucson on like a Wednesday night, and he's like, "Oh, I have a track workout." And I had just driven for like 3 days straight, and I was like, "Oh, I'll do it." And I had such a good workout, but I was like, had to have been so excited.
Yeah, amped up on adrenaline, everything else running a little bit faster.
Yeah, I was running like it was like 10 800s, and he led the first five, and we were running like 226 to 230. And I remember I led like the fifth one or fifth or sixth one, and I was like a 220. I was like, oops. And he's like, oh no, that's cool, bro. Like, and then I was like, oh, I'll slow it down. And it was like a 221. And then we ended up just doing the second half of the workout all at like 220.
Nice.
He said it was a great workout, but yeah, I was like super nervous and excited at the same time.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so cool. With the, I forgot what I was gonna say. It had
Oh,
something to do with the pacing. Uh,
oh, yeah. Um, Yeah, he usually starts leading the workouts because he's pretty good at pace and stuff, and then like he'll lead the first like 10% of the workout, and then I'll just lead like the rest of it basically. Or and we have a training mate, Ben, who is from Florida as well, who actually moved out of Tucson to go to nursing school at U of A and try to be a pro triathlete. So we all actually do basically all our runs together. So he'll hop in with some lead changes as well.
okay, cool. That's awesome. So talk us through the training the past several months and then the growth that kind of came through. I guess you call the second place win at North American Champs kind of a breakthrough race at St. George. What was that like leading up to? Because I looked at your race results and like you haven't even been doing this for that long. I mean, obviously you've been a runner for a long time, but you had some DNFs and then a race or two later, like you did really well. Like to walk
Mhm.
us through the training. Did anything change? Is it just hard work and you finally felt good, or did you make some changes?
Yeah, it was yeah, like I said, I did two 70.3s in 2021, but my first like real season was last year, 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And last year I was just on my own, just doing my thing. Had a few good results at the end of the year, a few DNFs at some bigger races, and then started out the year like okay at Oceanside, like it wasn't great, and then was doing really good in Texas and just kind of like my hamstrings like blew up. And then, yeah, moved to St. George. And I think I was just like so angry at myself from Texas 'cause I really wanted to do good at that race. And
Yeah.
I was more angry because I didn't bonk. I had a really bad bike setup. And so my hamstrings were getting pulled on so much, they literally just like blew up with like
Like
miles to go.
Like your position on the bike, like you messed up, or
Yeah, my position on the bike was so stretched, so my hamstrings were just so stretched for 4 hours on the bike. And I literally got on the run and I felt them from like the first step and I was like, ooh, that's not good. And I made it like 20 miles and they just literally like seized up and I had to sit on the ground for like 15 minutes and like literally extend them and it was just
wow,
brutal. So, and then yeah, I went to St. George and like I was talking to Lionel like before the race, and he's like, I mean, I had done a really good. We did a swim bike workout the week before, so the week after Texas and the week before St. George, and I ended up like I was out swimming Lionel by like a good bit, and then
mm-hmm,
I was like biking really good. And I don't really ever out swim or bike him,
yeah,
but I was just having a really good day, and he's like, dude, like he told me the day before the race, he's like, dude, if you do what you're capable of, you're gonna be in the thick of it for sure. And like just hearing him say that, I'm just like, yeah,
so
like
fired
that's
up,
motivating. And
yeah,
yeah, I ended up having like it was like an okay swim, and then I just like had great legs on the bike, and I was just shattering the bike. And
yeah. Was it the fastest split of the day? Wasn't it? Or
yeah, I biked him and Sam, so that was kind of really cool.
yeah,
Um, and then, but that unfortunately left me destroyed for the run.
but you still
Like
ran decent. I mean, like it
I
wasn't
I try I don't know. I wouldn't even call it running. I was like walking. Like
falling over it.
it was Jackson and me left transition together
Mm-hmm.
and then I put on like a 30-second gap on him in the first like 2 miles and then it stayed there. Like I would speed up, he would speed up. I would slow down, he would slow down and so I was running scared all day. That was the first time in my career where I've had to worry about people behind me because I never worry about people behind me. It's
Yeah.
always what's
Yeah. What
ahead.
am I gonna get?
Yeah, and yeah, so then I just yeah, crossed the finish line. It was like super exciting, like kind of like a sigh of relief, like, oh man, like great breakthrough performance. Like great validation, stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. That's so cool, man. It's cool to hear. So strength training, what does your strength training regimen look like during the actual race season?
Yeah, unfortunately, nothing right now. I don't hit the gym or really do anything right now. I did it a lot in college. We lifted 3, sometimes even 4 times a week at UF, and I'm a really big believer in it. But right now, there's just like so much more volume and training I can do on the swim, bike, run.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking to Lionel about this. Like, there's just so much more I need to do swim, bike, run wise before I even do that. Like, so I would like to at least start doing some body weight stuff, just like
Yeah.
some core and some body weight squats, like because again, I think it's very important. But right now, I need to swim and bike more and run
Yeah.
more.
How many hours a week are you averaging right now in training? Like between the three?
Mm, Probably anywhere from like 16 to 22 hours a week. So not a lot
Yeah.
compared to like my peers. So again, there's just so much more room for improvement in the volume side of things. I
Sure.
just train a like I train a lot, but I just there's like I said, like some of these guys are doing 30, 40 hours a week.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. My body starts to shut down after about 22, and yeah,
Yeah.
if I don't do strength training, I get in big trouble. ITBA
Really.
starts talking. Yeah, because like I didn't grow up doing a lot of sport stuff. I just got
All
into
right.
triathlon when I was like 27, and so yeah, the starting when you're 12, it seems like with a lot of the athletes I talk to who have like, because most people say like, oh, what's your background? Well, I literally didn't
Hmm.
have a background, but most people that do, if it's
Yeah.
anywhere from like running or biking and whatnot, they usually have this affinity to be able to handle a bit more, and their body just like kind of grew through puberty into that, being able to
Yeah.
handle it.
I mean, Sophie, my girlfriend, she didn't do anything like really growing up, like especially like competitively, and she's obviously a super talented like female runner, but she gets injured so easily. But
Yeah,
she never grew up doing anything. Like I grew up doing soccer, which
yeah.
is like a great like side to side motion
Oh
sport.
yeah, for sure.
You're on the grass, so you're not on the pavement. Then I did a little bit of baseball and football. I did like some airsoft. Like I did everything, and then
Airsoft,
just
nice.
yeah, like not like like I just did air like I said, I grew up kind of like in the country, so like me and my
Yeah.
friends literally just play like airsoft and paintball on the
Oh yeah,
weekends.
same. So fun.
Yeah, super fun. So yeah, I just grew up doing all of that and then just like really specialized in running literally for the last like 10 years. I'm 23 now, so I'm into triathlon, but and besides breaking my foot once, I went 9 years with never having like a
Yeah.
single injury.
Well, let's hope it stays that way.
Yeah, knock on
For
wood,
sure.
right?
Yeah, for sure. So that kind of brings me to the next question with like listening to the body. So when I first got into the sport, that was something that a lot of the coaches and people were like, listen to your body, listen to your body.
For sure.
Do you ever, because I went for a ride this morning and I
Hmm.
started getting out and I went for the first effort and I was a little shy of where I was wanting to hit. And I was like, I don't know, I almost was like, maybe I should just take it easy today. That's kind of what I feel the body's saying. But then I didn't. I ended up going and it got better. Anymore, it takes like an hour and a half before like the legs really wake up.
Yep.
Um, but do you ever quit or not necessarily quit, but change the regimen of a workout based on like, oh, I'm not feeling it? Like, what's the line for you? Do you ever change things based on how you're feeling?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm probably the polar opposite of a lot of coaches. And a
Push
lot of coaches
hard.
might, yeah, like a lot of coaches might disagree with me, and maybe a lot of people will, but like yesterday I had a bike workout that I was supposed to do, and I just got out there and literally from the warm up, I was like, dude, I feel like trash. And so I just did 2 hours easy, and I'm gonna do it when we get off this call. I'm gonna head out and go ride. So it's yeah, I
So
don't
you do
like
cut it
yeah,
typically.
I just move it to the next day and it is what it is. I don't like I've dug myself holes in running so many times and it's just not worth it. Like I'd rather just go rather than making myself feel like crap yesterday doing a bike workout, I just did 2 hours easy, feel fine now, and let's do the bike workout today.
Yeah.
So I just yeah, I'm a big proponent of just yeah, listening to the body and if it doesn't feel right, I'm just gonna move it.
Yeah. Do you find that amongst like the other, I guess, peers slash colleagues, people you work with, even your athletes and the professional triathletes, that's a common thing?
Mm, I don't think it's that common. But I don't think it's that common for a lot of pro triathletes to be like overtrained or tired. I think like I'm definitely on one end of the spectrum where it's like, oh man, I don't feel great. I'm just not going to do the workout.
Yeah.
Lionel's on the whole other side of it where
Go
he
hard anyway. Yeah.
go hard no matter what. Like I remember It's just like this is like 6 weeks ago. We did a bike workout in the morning. It was a hard one, and then we went to the pool like an hour later. So I'm exhausted from the bike already. Because like usually when I'm a weak swimmer, I'll always swim in the morning first, just to make sure I'm fresh and I get the most out of myself.
Hmm.
But we did a hard bike workout, and then we went to the pool, and I was destroyed. And I literally did 2% of the main set, and I was like, dude, I've got to stop. And Lionel like didn't talk to me like the rest of the afternoon. I was like,
That's hilarious.
he was so
Respect
disappointed.
goal.
He was so disappointed in me. I was like, oh, and so like there's definitely two sides to the spectrum, and I'm on one side and he's on the other. So
That's hilarious. Did he come around or did you ask for forgiveness?
he he just kind of told me he's like next time you just need to make the paces slower and get more rest, and I was like, okay, like yeah, but I'm like literally dead right now, and
Yeah.
he's like, yeah, that means you went too hard on the bike, and I'm like, okay.
That's so
So,
funny.
yeah,
So do you
but
think he's gonna be influenced? I mean, obviously will influence to a degree, but are you going to openly let him influence the way that you kind of develop your mindset over your next? I mean, because spending a lot of
um,
time together.
yeah, like he's obviously been self-coached, except for the last like 18 months he was with McCall and the Norwegians. But I mean, he was self-coached for like the 10 years before that, and he's self-coached now. And like I said, I have a big history of self-coaching myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't say he coached me. He has coached me the last 6 months, but he definitely like has kind of coached me the last six
Yeah.
months. Like, and he really wants to get into professional coaching when he's done with his career. So yeah, definitely someone I would trust like with my own training, and I love listening to him. And especially like with lot of other coaches, like when like Lionel gets the demands of like if you're a bad swimmer, you've got to be a really good bike runner. Like
Yeah.
and some people don't really get that. Like we're kind of like the same athlete, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So kind of he knows, dude, you got to push a lot of power and then you got to somehow run really fast after that.
Yeah.
So
For
and
sure.
people like oh, just get this magical like technique in the water and you're gonna make the front pack. And it's like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Just get a
Like,
ton of yards and hope that you can swim fast the day of and stay on the feet. Or
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Like it's not like again, I like he's worked with so many coaches and it's
Yeah.
like, oh, just get this high elbow and you'll make the front pack. And it's like, no, dude, I don't think it works like that.
Yeah, and everybody has a different because I've watched like I'm sure you've heard of effortless swimming.
Yep, sure.
Yeah, and so like you can pick stuff apart all day, but really it comes down to, at least in my experience with swimming, you have to develop a feel for the water. And some people just don't have, I think, the sensory ability to feel the differences when you are swimming and just the slightest change in
Hmm.
breaking tension with the water or, how head or high or low your chest is and all that stuff. Some people just, I think it's really hard to feel.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
different for everybody.
it's weird. Like I all year, like the last 6 months, like maybe the fastest 200, like the 200-yard split I had was maybe a 222, maybe it's probably 222, 223. And then that brick workout I told you about,
Hmm.
that we did a week before St. George, it was a 200-yard swim and do a 10-minute bike. And we did that 6 times. And I was hitting
Like the Marina
212.
Games.
Yeah, I was hitting 212 on the 200s. That's like actually pretty
Dang.
good swimming.
That
I
is,
don't,
yeah, 106 per 100. Is
yeah,
this
like
meters or yards?
this is yards. And I
Okay,
was
still.
like, oh yeah. I mean, I was getting Lionel by like 2 to 4 seconds. Like, I don't know how I did that. Like, it's just a weird thing. Like sometimes you just have really good feel for the water.
Hmm.
Like what made me swim 10 seconds faster than my fastest 200? And I did it 6 times in a row while doing 10-minute intervals on the
Yeah.
bike at like 400 watts. Like that's
Okay.
just weird.
Yeah, it's crazy. Were you caffeinated?
Yeah, but I'm like always caffeinated.
Are you
Like,
always caffeinated?
yeah, like, I'm about to
Every
have my
workout, every day, you throwing down coffee in the morning, afternoon,
yeah,
evening?
and I think like it's actually funny you say that because not to keep bringing up Lionel, but I talked to Lionel about this, and because he has a super low heart rate, you've probably noticed from his YouTube
Yeah.
videos and stuff. And I'm 23 now, and I was never allowed to have caffeine as a kid or like growing up. So I had my first like dose of caffeine, I think when I was 20, when I got my first job.
Oh, yeah, so you're young.
I was a valet driver, and so I started like knocking back Red Bulls and stuff, pulling these long shifts. And dude, they electrify me. And it's like So when I'll take caffeine now, like I'll take a Red Bull or a coffee and my heart rate's easy 10, 12 beats higher.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, what? And I was like, no, I promise you, like it's so much higher. And he's like, no, it doesn't affect me like that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, you've had it for like 15 years.
Forever.
I've
Yeah. Your
had, I've
body.
had caffeine for like 2 years now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I notice when I drink caffeine, it's crazy. So, especially with swimming, if I drink caffeine in the morning, which I don't typically, I mean, it's like 2 or 3 times a week max, depending on how I'm
yeah,
feeling. I'll drink caffeine in the morning and then I'll feel kind of like tired more toward the afternoon. And then I'm like, man, this swim's not going to go well. But I notice whenever I feel tired, I actually end up swimming better and
really.
faster. Yeah, I think it's because I relax more because I get in there and I'm like, each month if I'm swimming for the swim on an average of 120s or something like that. Like I'll
Yeah,
feel pretty good, but if it starts to go beyond that, like I start getting sloppy, and then I'm like wanting to grab the water harder, and like
yeah,
it's not like you get on the track and like, all right, open up the hips, and we'll go a little faster and lean forward
right.
more. It's like so different. But that's interesting with the caffeine thing. Um, yeah, I wonder how long it'll take before it starts to not affect you that way. But maybe it
Yeah,
always
I
will.
mean, especially on like an empty stomach. Like if I have a like I had espresso shot this morning on an empty stomach and like I'll
Yeah,
literally feel it in like my head. I'm just like, whoa, like this is like next level.
yeah. Careful, jeez.
Yeah, exactly. So
That's cool, man.
if the Red Bull sponsorship comes in, I'll do my part. I'll drink like 20 Red Bulls a day.
That's
So
so funny. Whenever I see like sponsorship stuff like that, where Christian or whoever is it, or
yeah,
even like NASCAR, or motocross, or whatever,
yeah.
they do you ever are you into motocross? Have you ever watched that
My
stuff?
dad raced motocross a ton, and I watched a little bit,
Okay, so like guys finish and then they're like, here's a
holding
brand
like a
new pair of
monster.
yeah,
And it's
here's a
10
monster and a
o'clock at
brand
night.
new pair of 100% goggles and all this stuff they're just throwing on them, and I'm like, I always thought like, man, I doubt they drink that stuff because like, I think the argument could be made it's not that great for you.
Yeah,
Um,
that's what people say. I don't know. Like, apparently Christian actually drinks like seven a day.
oh my word,
Like he drinks a lot. But
that's got to be bad for you.
dude, I don't know. People, my mom and stuff tell me all the time like Red Bull's bad for you. And I'm like, bro, Diet Coke is bad for you.
Oh yeah,
Like,
100%. Any soda.
yeah, and I don't drink soda. So I'm just like, hey, this is like I'm drinking Red Bull. Like don't at me.
How
And
many Red Bulls you throwing down a day?
a day, it just depends what kind of mood I'm in. Because they're low key kind of expensive, like a pack of like
Yeah,
30. So I don't
more
know, a
than
week.
gels.
I'll probably yeah, Morton gels are expensive. I'll probably
Still,
throw down like 5 Red Bulls a week.
yeah,
But I'll just like it just depends like if I'm rushed for time or it's a big workout, I'm definitely swinging into like Circle K and I'm getting like a 20-ounce Red Bull and I'm just knocking it back. But I truly think at least in the triathlon world, like Christian, Daniel Backergar, some of these guys, I think they actually drink Red Bull like on the daily.
yeah.
Yeah, but
There's,
I don't know. I have an espresso machine, so I drink a lot of espresso with some milk and sugar.
yeah,
Yeah.
cool. Um, yeah. Well, I want to schedule an interview when you turn 40, and then we'll revisit some of these conversations, you and
Yeah,
Christian,
yeah.
and after everybody's kind of past their prime. So, how are your joints doing?
Yeah, exactly. Like it can't be good for long-term health.
Yeah, for sure. Oh man. So talk me through a little bit of the business side of being a pro. So like, with the last race week or whatever, they were trying to get you above 10,000. I think you're sitting
Yeah.
right below 12,000 now. So
Yeah.
congratulations. Has your life changed dramatically since the 10,000 break?
Just that a ton of people DM me now, get a lot of likes, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Do you go
But
through all your DMs? I'm surprised you said anything back to me, by the way.
yeah, because I've always responded to all my DMs because like, mate, for the last like year, maybe I get like one a day,
Yeah.
but now I get like 10 a day, or something like that. And I used to respond to all the comments, and now it's just getting hard.
Yeah,
Like
that'd
I
be
used
impossible.
like it's just like kind of impossible. Like, and I don't even have that many followers or whatever, but
Yeah.
like it's just so yeah, it starts to get hard. So right now I'm still trying to do all the DMs, but the comments, it's just a lost cause now.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
I'll read them and try to like them, but I'm not commenting back. Maybe there's one really funny one,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
yeah,
I see like Holly Lawrence, for example, like I think she's got quite a few. I'm trying to think of a few
she's
others,
probably
but
over 100.
yeah, and like she'll go through and I keep tabs to see if she really tries to like all those. And I'm like, I get so bored. And like, here, I'm gonna go
Dang.
down.
Probably sitting in her Normatec boots, just liking them.
Literally, I think that's what most people do during the recovery
Yeah.
normal tech boost stuff. Yeah, it's so cool. But going a little bit more to the business side of being a pro, I assume, I don't know this to be true, but after you got a couple of wins, and especially this North American champs, you're on the radar more
Mhm.
to say you're a PTO rank number 32, I believe.
Yeah.
Um, Talk me through kind of the business side of being a pro. Like, were you approached with, hey, we'd love to sponsor you. Here's a contract. What do you think? Do you negotiate? How do you manage all that stuff?
Yeah, so at the end of last year, so last year I didn't have like any sponsors, but at the end of last year I had I think three podiums and a win of Ironman races, and
Hmm.
I had a few companies reach out, like a few, I don't want to say smaller bike companies, but like a few bike companies, a few different clothing companies, a few different nutrition companies, kind of like the whole nine yards
Sure.
probably reached out to me. And dude, to be honest, it's just like performance over anything. Like I'd rather try to work a side, like do a side hustle job, like doing something rather than ride a slow bike or a slow set of wheels. I'd rather save up my own money and
Get what you want.
get what I want, ride the fastest disc wheel, ride the fastest helmet, all that kind of stuff. So basically, yeah, just kind of I signed four contracts last year with companies I had already been using. Like I was already using the Rudy Project helmet. I was already using Infinite Nutrition, Varlo. I was a great kit, so I used it. And then Deborah wetsuits. I mean, Jan
They've
and
been
Chris,
going hard after people
dude,
this
they've been going
past year.
super hard. So I reached out to them kind of on a whim. It's like my last like literally like I was like, unfortunately, I'm probably gonna blow $1,700 or $1,600 on their wetsuit because I want, again, performance over anything.
Sure.
But they ended up signing me, and I was like, hey, there we go. So yeah, so got everything, and then honestly, just kind of like bet on myself and just play the long game of just like shoe deals, run deals, like the big ones, just kind of just hold off on them, you know, like I said, play the long game, bet on myself to try to get a few good results. So at the end of this year, you know, maybe the big bike companies and the big shoe companies come knocking. And I actually, like a agency, like a management agency, reached out to me like a month or two ago, and I signed with them. It's like the same agency that Christian and Gustav work with, same one as Chelsea Sodaro. So that's been really cool.
Nice. That's awesome.
That's helped a lot. And I think if you want to sign pretty big deals and stuff, that's pretty important.
Yeah, because they negotiate contracts,
For
figure out
sure.
what you
Like,
want. They'll go in
yeah, they
and
go
they go to bat
talk to
for you.
people and they literally say, I mean, and they, again, they work with Christian and Gus. It's like, again, performance over anything is 100% what they focus on, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I want to do, right? So just
Hmm.
kind of the best stuff.
Before the sponsorships, so did you sign contracts before the management company or after?
Yeah, before the management company I signed like a month ago.
Okay.
And
So,
that's kind of just to try to help me get set up for next year.
yeah, sweet. I got you. So you don't have to answer this if you don't want to. It might be a stupid question, but when it comes to like the sponsorships, is it like, oh, they're giving you just like gear, like that's the sponsorship, or is it like, no, they're going to give you the gear, and if you win X or you do Y, then we'll give you such and such.
Yeah, I think there's like obviously I can't talk about like numbers or whatever, not because I don't want to, but I
Five
don't think,
million, yeah, sure.
yeah, yeah, something like that. But I don't think I can actually legally talk about the numbers. But I think there's like three different levels to quote unquote contracts, and that's like the first level is being like you get free gear.
Mm-hmm.
Second level is like you get free gear, and then you get paid X for getting first, second, third on the podium. And then like the third level is like gear, money for the podiums, and you get paid like $1 a day, stuff like that.
$1 a
Like
day.
like a salary or
Yeah,
something, like you get paid 20K for the year or something.
yeah.
So that's kind of like the three levels. So obviously, yeah, if you get, a couple really good brands that believe in you and you believe in them that give you the good equipment, pay you for good results, and then pay you a salary, you'd be sitting pretty good at that point.
Yeah, that's sweet. And that seems like that's your ultimate goal, or
Yeah,
you still want to be. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
for sure.
How many athletes do you have a part of your coaching business now?
Right now we have eight athletes right now.
Nice.
Thankfully, with like the big growth in social media and then like a lot of the
A lot of
good
interest.
results I've just had, and Sophie, who also helps me with coaching, she just won her age group at Chatty. That's was cool. So yeah, I've had a really big influx of people reaching out, so that's been super fun, and yeah, just trying to help people to best of my ability.
Yeah, for sure. With the coaching, I don't know why I keep forgetting my questions, but cool. Um, I'll move on to the next one, I guess.
Oh, you're
Um,
good.
so with the PTO is relatively new. I mean, they came on the scene probably just before you were really getting into it. I think it was like 20. I think it was the year after COVID or before COVID. I can't even remember.
I think it was
When
it
did they
during
start
COVID?
doing?
It was like right before COVID or like
Yeah,
basically during COVID.
yeah, and they did
And
that big race down in Daytona or something. I think.
that was in December of 2020.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like in the middle of it. So they're obviously coming in trying to provide more of a way for winnings to support the everyday professional triathlete because
Hmm.
I don't even know how many professional triathletes there are. There has to be tens of thousands, I would imagine.
I've seen world rankings as low as six, 700, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and that's like one gender, I think.
Okay. So like 1,200,
So,
13. I need to look into that. But what is your thoughts on the PTO? How much stake, or if any, do you put in the rankings?
yeah, I mean, the PTO is obviously super cool for the pros. Obviously, it's providing like a massive platform,
Mm-hmm.
big paydays, good exposure to brands, and then obviously high stakes races with the best in the world. So that's pretty cool. Um, but stake in the rankings, I wouldn't necessarily say they're like the end all be all. Like, and I
Mm-hmm.
think Lionel would like agree with me and a couple other people. Like, I think like the sixth ranked pro is, I don't know who that is. So, sorry, but I don't know if they're actually the sixth ranked pro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think they get you in the ballpark for sure. So I think that's pretty cool. But I think to grow this sport, you have to have something like that anyways. So I
Yeah.
don't think like criticism is like too fair because like that it's something for people to get behind, right?
Right.
Like fans to get behind, stuff like that. So I think they're pretty cool and I think they get the job done
Yeah.
90% of the time.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
but
Number
I think
six is
it's
Sam,
cool.
by the way.
Ooh, sorry about that, buddy.
Yeah, but he just like won two races and did really well too. So it's like okay, and he outperformed, in my opinion, I would say probably even Christian in his most recent race.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it's a fluid thing. I think it's more for like the average day consumer anyway. Maybe you guys will have little cards and trading cards before too long, and the kids will be
Yeah,
up there
some
like,
like
I
yeah,
got
again, I
Trevor
think it's
Foley.
yeah, I think it's for more like people to get behind and track, kind
Yeah,
of like another sport.
yeah, for sure. So I know you probably got to go here pretty soon. What's the most exciting to you right now in the sport? Is there anything that you're thinking about and really looking forward to?
Um, I don't really know. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how the Ironman World Champs does at Nice, obviously
Hmm.
at Kona for the men, anyways. Be interested to see how how many age groupers go,
Yeah,
different dynamics of the pros, what the community says about that. I'm pretty interested
yeah,
to see, honestly, just more of a fan of the sport, how that
yeah,
hinders or helps the brand of Ironman.
yeah, for sure.
I think it's
Yeah,
a pretty big move.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing how the PTO continues. I would love to see more PTO races, even like in the. I mean, it's the professional triathlete organization, but I think they have an opportunity to really compete with Ironman, even on the age group side of things. Ironman does a really good job at with treating the age groupers well in terms of like the race experience, but we all know when it comes to refunds and moving race dates and I mean
Yeah.
just their fiscal responsibility. Like I think it's owned by some crazy. It's crazy how many times the debt of that company has been bought and sold to other private equity firms. So it'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see what happens. But I'd love to see the PTO open up more races and compete directly because competition's good for anything.
Good for everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see. Are you going to Nice?
I'm not going to Nice. I wanted to get my slot
Yeah,
in Texas and unfortunately didn't.
yeah,
Not going to do another Ironman
yeah. You
if
got
I
all
do one.
70.3s.
Yeah. I'll do maybe I'll end the year at Florida, Ironman Florida. Um, but yeah, probably just stick with the 70.3s for now. Probably
Yeah,
pretty built for that just until I get more miles on my legs and arms.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I had the opportunity to go to Nice, but I already chose something else before. There's like a drop
Mm.
down, so a bit of a bummer. But I know a lot of people that are going, so we'll see. But man, that's expensive. It's gonna be like for even the age groupers, I think it's gonna be like 10 grand or more just to get that trip
Is it
happening.
is really, I mean, I know Kona is obviously an expensive trip, but is Nice is an expensive trip too?
It seems like it. I don't know if it probably won't be as much on the lodging aspect, but flights over there are obviously pretty expensive. I'm not sure. My buddy Aaron, who's going in his age group, he's in 40s or something. He's budgeted about 10 grand, and I remember
Wow.
my coach saying, and we had a whole team that went over to Kona this past year. It ended up being about that as well, but they even like split a massive Airbnb and you know split it
Yeah,
like 7 8 ways, and it was still like 10 grand.
that's
So some
crazy.
extortion going on. Yeah, it's crazy
Oh yeah,
expensive.
for sure. I mean, I don't know. St. George seems like a pretty good place to have a world champs. Pretty easy,
Yeah,
not too expensive, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah, for sure.
um, yeah, that would seem pretty nice. But yeah, I'm not gonna do 70.3 worlds this year. Just 'cause it's just gonna be such a pain to get there. And like apparently I'm hearing that the like literally where Worlds is at is like in a farm town, and then like Helsinki is like an hour away, and that's where everyone has to stay. So you're
Helsinki.
literally gonna have to like bus like an hour in to go
Damn,
race.
people are gonna be so like exhausted, getting thrown up,
Yeah,
nerves for an
like
hour on a bus.
I mean, yeah, unfortunately I heard like yeah, slots rolled down super deep at Chatty for 70.3 Worlds, which is like good for good for the other people that wanted to go, but it's just like I don't know how the popularity of
Yeah,
it will be.
it's in Helsinki, Norway.
Finland.
Finland.
It's yeah, but I think
Okay.
Helsinki is the town, like the big city next to like the town.
Yeah. Oof.
So, and then the year after that's in New Zealand in December.
Yeah. New Zealand would be fun. I just had a buddy move there, so maybe I'll get a free lodging. If you need free lodging, hit me up.
Hey, dude, I might. That's gonna be a big trip.
Yeah.
I'll do that one, especially because it's at like the end of the year, so it's
Hmm.
easy to like kind of have an end of the year banner like as a big one.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's gonna be an expensive trip.
Yeah. Yeah. My buddy just moved there for a job he got offered, and he was saying that. I mean, obviously, moving over there would be really expensive because he had to do a whole shipping container and wait a couple months
Ooh.
and stuff. But he didn't give me a number, but it was astronomical. And even with the employer helping with some of the moving costs, it's just like such a crazy flights and
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean it's like over it's almost 30 hours to travel or something
yeah.
from America.
Yeah, I have been close to there. So I went to Papua, Indonesia, a few times several years ago, and yeah, it's like it's the same similar travel pattern. You like hop off the U.S. either West Coast or East Coast, and then you're jumping over to like Japan, and then Japan to Singapore, and then Singapore down to who knows where, and it's just like yeah, it makes you sick. You feel like you're just carrying a pound of grease on you by the time you get there.
Yeah, I had a few teammates in college that were from Australia, and I remember them going home. They went home for like Christmas and then came back, and I'm just like,
Yeah,
oh my gosh, like that's just devastatingly hard
yeah,
and expensive. Like
yeah,
minimum $1,500 plane ticket,
yeah,
minimum,
yeah.
but probably usually like 2K.
Yeah, especially around holidays.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
expensive.
And I mean, yeah, yeah, it's just not going to be fun. So,
What's the farthest you've ever traveled away from home?
to race
Or just in general?
in general, I mean, I've really never left Florida for living or training before like this year.
Okay.
So basically Tucson, and then farthest race I've ever done, raced in Cabo in Mexico. I guess
Okay.
that's pretty far. That's like probably the farthest south I've ever raced, and the
Yeah.
farthest north. I mean, I've raced in California, so that's west, east. I've raced in North Carolina,
Yeah.
and that's probably honestly North Carolina is probably like the farthest north I've ever raced. Oh,
Really?
actually, I raced in Boston in high
Okay.
school. I
Nice.
raced a track race there.
Okay, nice.
So I've been a few places.
Yeah. Have you traveled to other countries for leisure ever?
Nah, I don't really. That's my one
You're a
thing. Like,
homeboy. You like Florida.
yeah, I like Florida, or I mean, I love Arizona. I just like chilling here, doing my own thing. Like people all the time are like, "Oh, it's so cool you get to travel." I'm like, "Hey, you want to travel for me?" Like,
Yeah.
I'd rather have the race right here.
Yeah.
Like, I hate traveling. It's just so inconvenient. It's
Yeah.
like the worst part of the job. It's
Would you
like,
rather like drive or fly?
oh, I'd rather drive,
Yeah.
100%.
So you and
Like,
mine are in a very good boat then it seems.
yeah, like if I can have enough money one day to have like a nice van or something, I'm driving everywhere.
Yeah.
So
Oh man.
yeah, because it's just a pain to get to the airport and then fly with your bike, and then you
Yeah,
pray
having
the
a bike
bike doesn't
sucks.
break, and yeah, and I do that like multiple times a month, so it's just like oh
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Are you gonna get the Mount Lemon KOM?
I haven't gone after it. I've gone up it a few times, but never like at pace, and I want to try for sure. I think probably some. I mean, it's hard because it's getting hot now,
Yeah.
but you also, you kind of want the ground a little hot for rolling resistancy. You want a tailwind, so you don't want to go too early in the morning. So I don't know. I definitely want to give it a shot for sure. I think I don't know. I think I got a pretty good shot at it. So I don't want to speak too highly on myself,
I
but
mean, you got the bike of the day there at St. George, and that had a decent climb. So hey,
yeah, and I'm way better on the road bike. So hey, we'll
yeah,
see.
yeah, cool, man.
So yeah, if I do, like if I try it, I'm definitely gonna film it. I mean, if I don't get it, I'm definitely no one's ever gonna see that footage. But
No, you should still post it.
one day when if I get in the top 10, I'll post it.
Okay,
And
there you go.
yeah, so it'll be cool. But I need like a climbing bike or something because I have a like an Aero road bike.
You can still do it. I mean, what's the
Uh,
gearing on it?
I got like a 56/43, so
Okay,
that'll be good.
yeah.
But yeah,
You got
that'll
a
be
back
fun.
out gear in the back.
I got like a 10/20. Dude, I did St. George on a 1x60 and with a 10/33. So my smallest gear up Snow Canyon was a 60/33. That was so hard.
Gee willikers. How many watts did you push for the? How long is that climb? A few miles?
It's like my peak 10-minute power was 401.
Oh my word.
So yeah.
How much
And
do you weigh? You're like 160?
like upper 160s, yeah, 167, 168
It's like 6 watts a kilogram or something. That's nuts.
in the middle of the Ironman. In the
Yeah.
middle of 7.3, yeah. But I just set it up though because and it didn't work, but we had a super slow day on the bike. Because we had a headwind
Yeah.
coming down Snow Canyon. So if we had a tailwind and I
You would have
could
been
put that
ripping.
thing in the 60/10, I would have easily been at 60 miles per hour. And that's like,
That's sketchy fast, man.
yeah, dude, but that's why I did it because that's why Magnus, if you remember last year at 70.3 Worlds,
Mm-hmm.
had broken away at the last
Did you
10K.
hit? Did he have the 60/10?
He ran a 61 by and but he ran Shimano, so he had a 60/11. I would have had the 60/10. Dude, I would have been
That
flying.
is like a dinner plate.
Oh, it's massive. Yeah, it's
Do you
like
have it near you? Because I was gonna have you hold up to next to your face because it's
it's
probably like
like on the it's like on my bike, which is like hard to see, but dude, it's when
that's
I when I
hilarious.
when I put my bike in the bike bag, I have to cut out like I had to cut out plastic to fit the chain.
That's so funny because I just graduated to like a 53.
Funny. Yeah, I mean, I'm actually I never thought it was like a big deal, but I had like a 52 on my road bike,
Yeah.
and I just couldn't do my workouts. It was like too
Yeah, you
small.
running
I,
out.
I couldn't push enough power, so I have a 56/43 on my road bike now, and way better. But yeah, I guess it's just not a big problem to have, but it's kind of annoying sometimes.
Yeah. No, yeah, I hear you. That's cool. It depends on the course too. You got to have probably several different
For
rings.
sure.
Yeah, I just actually 2 weeks and 2 days ago I wrecked going downhill at 40. Well, it was like 38 miles an hour. It was
Dang.
crazy. My buddy, we're doing some stupid. So it was like 10-minute efforts in the last minute. You push hard and it crested over this hill downhill toward a stop sign. And anyway, I was on the yellow line and I just was down, wasn't really looking, and had probably 10 seconds left. And I was like, oh, I have time to stop. Anyway, he pulled in front of me and his back wheel hit my front wheel and it was like game over. Slid
Dang.
and yeah, I've never had road rash like that before, and it's like it's healed up pretty much now. You can't even see it, but it's all over my
Yeah.
butt. And oh,
Is
dude, I
your
couldn't
bike
sleep for like
okay?
4 days. I mean, it was okay. It's a Trek speed concept. So the arrow bars up front, or the not the arrow bars, but the off to the side, like it grinded maybe that much away, so that's not bad. And then my rear derailleur, where the cable came through, it like chewed it down, but it's still working.
Mhm.
And I plan to race Blue Ridge with it,
Yeah.
and so it's yeah, hopefully it doesn't break, but
Is it
yeah,
the new one or the old one?
it's the old one. It's
Mm.
old. Yeah, I'm trying to make it last one more season. We have QR here in town, and I know
Yeah.
the guy who does all the marketing for them, and then the trying to actually get to know the guy who actually runs the company, ABL Group, American Bike.
Oh, yeah, his name's Peter, I think.
Yeah. So my
Yeah.
friend knows him, so I'm trying to get that worked out. And then I was asking him like, so what does it take to get a sponsorship? Like, well, pro card. I was like, yeah, but what else? Because I don't know if you know of Working Triathlete, Miguel and Jenna.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, they're sponsored by QR, right?
yeah. So
Yeah.
they like their sponsors to have like some kind of influence or media presence. So that's why I'm kind of, to be honest, like one of the reasons I was like, oh, I should just do a podcast and maybe a
Yeah.
YouTube and that stuff.
That's
But
cool.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see if we can get that figured out. It'd
Hey,
be cool to ride QR.
yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, dude, sweet. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. Super enjoyed it and just hearing about everything. I will have to do it again sometime and just continue to follow your journey and hear how things are panning out. But good luck. Your next race is when again?
Uh, Next race. Oh,
Is it Boulder?
70.3 Boulder.
Boulder.
Yep.
Okay, and that's in June.
June 10th.
June
So
10th.
about
Nice.
2.5 weeks, 3 weeks.
Yeah, nice, dude.
So
That'll be fun.
back again. Yeah. So, but yeah, thanks for having me, bro.
Yeah, man. Sweet.